And is everybody's fingertips warm?
Why not? Oh, it's that door.
Okay.
Community service fund. I'll take the
Yeah.
picture of the clip and give it to you. I don't know, yeah, probably could.
So
Yeah,
that's why I was concerned about that.
I understand. Yeah.
Five of them.
That was an executive session.
Well, we need to be efficient because Matt's got surgery. Oh, that's right. No, let's start. It's
What are we
7
doing?
o'clock.
Will you all join us, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and welcome on this weird night. How was the travel? I hope it was okay?
Yep. So I,
Good.
Yep, excellent roads in Kennett
Is
Township.
that nice?
With roads instead of walking.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be bad
I
at
didn't
night.
think it would be
It got
good
cold
to
out.
walk.
It didn't melt.
Yeah. But then it's supposed to be like 50 over the weekend, right?
Yes, it's supposed to be very warm.
Friday's only 50. Wear shorts, but
Do we have a motion to accept the minutes of the January 2nd, 2018 meeting, please?
I move we adopt the minutes of the January 2nd, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, Michael, you did an excellent job.
Thank you.
It was a long meeting. It was.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And aye as well, not opposed. All right, so now we're up to announcements and reports. May we hear from the Chief of Police, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. The Kennett Township Police Department, in conjunction with the state, provided police service to 441 police incidents in Kennett during the month of December 2017. The state police, Avondale Barracks, provided police service to 38 of those incidents. The municipality of Kennett generated 5,519 police incidents requiring police service in 2017. The Kennett Township Police Department provided service to 5,101 of those incidents. The state police provided service to 418 of those incidents. Officers issued 748 traffic citations in 2017. Officers also conducted 124 criminal investigations that resulted in arrests for violations of the Pennsylvania criminal statute. The department logged 58,891 miles of patrol service in 2017. As the department continues to increase our service to the community, we will also increase our patrol service to deter criminal activity in the township. The department logged 820 hours of professional development training for the officers in 2017. This training program exceeded the department's requirements for 2017 and ensures the department's commitment to professional development for each one of our police officers. The department received grant funding for 3 law enforcement grants in 2017. The Aggressive Driving Enforcement Grant, which provides funds for focused aggressive driving enforcement. The Highway Sobriety Safety Grant, which is a 2-part grant and provides funding for police officers for focused enforcement targeting impaired drivers. The second part of the grant provides funding for sobriety checkpoints that we conducted in the township on May 27th of 2017. The department is also pleased to announce that we will receive funding for the same grants in 2018, along with an additional grant for pedestrian safety. So there's a grant that we were awarded in 2017. We'll actually get some funding for in 2018 that deals with pedestrian safety, like crosswalk safety, and that type of focus.
Enforcing it or teaching?
Both. It's an educational point where we go into the schools and we talk about what to do in the crosswalk, and then we also there's an enforcement portion of it where we will spend some time enforcing violators when they do not yield to pedestrians in the crosswalk. The department participated in 123 community policing events in 2017. This reaffirms our commitment to the community through police and community engagement programs. It's one of the things that I've been pushing hard at ever since I took office in 2015. I just continue to believe that the engagement between the community and the police department enhances the safety in our neighborhoods. One kind of caveat of information that we're starting to gather some very hard statistics about what's occurring in the township. I know I talked about the amount of police incidents that require police service, but I want to talk a little bit about what is considered Part 1 crimes. And the uniform crime reporting that all police departments are required to participate in is a national crime reporting database which charts the crime activity throughout our nation. They have what they consider a Part 1 crime, and I'm going to kind of read them off. And Part 1 crimes are your most serious crimes: criminal homicide, sexual assault, robbery, assault, larceny and theft, arson and fraud. Those are considered Part 1 crimes and considered the most significant crimes that occur. So just a snapshot for Kennett Township, in 2016 we had 133 Part 1 crimes. In 2017 we had 107 Part 1 crimes, so it's a 19% decrease from 2016. And we're attributing the change to a decrease in larceny and theft crimes. We believe that it's the increased police patrols that deter the theft crimes, which in law enforcement's opinion is a crime of opportunity. So with the increased police presence, we believe that it does drive those two crimes down. So that's just a quick snapshot and where we're headed. I'm always skeptical when I start to see decreases because I know how fast next year can bring in increases, but that's 2016 into 2017, and hopefully we can drive that down farther in 2018. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or comments for the chief? Anybody on the board?
You said 19%?
Yes.
The chief and I just briefly had a sort of sidebar conversation about trying to find a good time and a good place to have a larger community conversation about opioid addiction in general with the whole community, based on the fact that I was at a safety committee meeting this past week, and the governor has declared an opioid crisis in Pennsylvania, and so I think we're trying to find an appropriate way to have a larger conversation with the community and make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on, and I think just a more open conversation. I think it's just the beginning parts of a conversation.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not a Kennett Township necessarily Kennett Township issue. It's not necessarily a Chester County issue. It's not necessarily just a state of Pennsylvania issue. It's but we definitely need to start focusing on what's going on. Just some brief statistics. In 2016. Pennsylvania had 4,600, over 4,600 overdose deaths in the state. We are almost double the national average for overdose deaths. I apologize, I don't have the statistics right here in front of me, but we definitely have a problem in Pennsylvania that needs addressed from a state level, which the governor did take the steps to do that. Definitely needs addressed on the local level as well. And I think when Supervisor Hoffman and I were talking, we're just trying to decide what the right forum or venue is for the discussion, but absolutely a discussion is necessary.
Are all officers trained? Do they have access to Narcan?
They do. And Kennett Township, one of our officers has naloxone, and they're trained, and we carry it in police cars. I apologize, I don't have the statistics right in front of me. I should have brought the stuff down from my office, but in Chester County, there was, I believe, 144 naloxone uses in Chester County in the 2017 year. So,
Any in Kennett Township?
one in Kennett Township.
That I assumed you would know.
Yeah, one in Kennett
And,
Township.
I mean, it is a bit of a detail, but did one dose suffice, or was more than one dose needed?
One dose did suffice.
Right, because a lot of the overdose deaths are due to the sort of the synthetic opioids that can take more than one.
Correct.
So do officers have more than one available to them?
They do.
Okay.
They do. So they're able to give up to 4 ounces of it, 4 ounces. So,
Yeah, I know one of the things that one of the emergency service workers, EMTs, who was at the safety committee meeting, was saying that there are some bigger issues in some surrounding communities, and sometimes they're coming back to the same address multiple times.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
We've done one.
Yeah.
you know, it's a situation where, you know, we talked about, you know, municipalities, we talked about the Cheshire County, we talked about the state of Pennsylvania. This is such a fluid problem, so to speak. You know, we had one use last year, but we could have 3 uses in the next week. You know, it's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So.
Chief, can you tell me when a member of the police force saves somebody with Narcan, cam, whatever, what's the policy for follow-up? What happens after you revive the person? Then what happens?
So as far as the person that we're reviving, or as far as the police officer themselves?
So let me. It was my understanding that there is an offer to take the person to the hospital, but that the person being revived does not have to go. Is that the policy that our police force is confronted with, or is there something else going on?
So that is correct. And the individual, again, if they are of adult age, you know, they have the ability to refuse medical services after that, and at that point in time, they sign off from the EMS service provider, and they can refuse to seek additional treatment. And there's no repercussions for that currently.
One of the repercussions, I understand, is that the process of recovering from the overdose has some can
Recur.
recur.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. That's not the word I was looking for, but that it can come back. So
Relapse.
yeah, so that it's much more complicated than just have a shot and thank you and get on with your life. There could be complications that flow from that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just because naloxone was used, it does not nullify the addiction. So if somebody is in active addiction, you know, from an opiate, it will nullify the effects of that opiate currently, but it doesn't nullify the effects of the addiction going forward. So, you know, for example, in layman's term, if you're in active opiate addiction, there is a certain requirement of opiates daily to function without getting sick. If there is an overdose that occurs during your daily use, the naloxone will nullify those effects immediately. However, it does not cure you of the addiction, and you will still have the same addictive withdrawal symptoms as you would if naloxone wasn't used. Doctor, did I explain that correctly?
Close enough.
That's my non-medical version.
Question?
Yes.
Do you have any feeling on the Part 1 crimes, what percentage of them are related to drugs?
So this is the million-dollar question. I believe that over 95% of Part 1 crimes have some link to drugs, and either it's linked to the use, the abuse, the transportation, the purchase or sale. in some shape, form, or another. And there are some statistics to back that up, and they put it actually a little bit lower and over about 83%. With some of the statistics to back that up, but I push it a little bit higher because there's not a lot of crime that occurs. There's not some kind of connection somewhere along the line.
81 or 85% is a pretty big number.
It's a
Much
large
less
number.
higher.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the chief? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Lisa, I think that you're up next.
Yeah.
I wanted to announce that the Board of Supervisors had a meeting this evening to discuss personnel and possible real estate acquisition. Recently, we've talked about the Granite Ridge Basin, which is a development on McFarland Road, and we've had ongoing issues with the failure of the basin. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and it seems that we've come up with a solution that everybody is trying to work through to make sure that it will finally resolve the issues. In the meantime, we're still holding the escrow money for a year once the new system is put in place to make sure that it works. The township participated with surrounding municipalities, including London Grove, Avondale Borough, Kennett Borough, and New Garden Township in the Martin Luther King Change for Change Challenge. We beat all the other municipalities by raising over $700, which goes directly to Kennett Area Community Service. So, great job, everybody.
Thanks. Who coordinated that?
Hey,
Roger, everybody
I
did.
brought my bucket everywhere.
Everybody did.
Well, who
I
got the
brought my
most?
very heavy.
We decided not to count that, because I might have won, but, no, just kidding.
I can say that mine was probably the heaviest.
I don't know, you should have seen his.
Well, ours was pretty heavy.
Was it? I didn't see yours.
No, it's okay.
We decided just to put it all in one big bucket, and it was a joint effort.
No matter how interpersonally competitive we may be.
Right, we all got a little competitive, so we started emptying our own pockets in there constantly, so. We finally received executed contracts from the state regarding grant funding for the rehab of the Chandler Mill Bridge and for the trail installation on Chandler Mill Road to Round Hill Road. So we will go out for bid beginning next month, and then hopefully construction will start in April.
Excellent. And what about percentage of the costs of the project be for the bridge and for the trail?
30% the township has to pay.
Okay. And the total cost for both those projects?
Is about 1.2 million.
Okay.
So we have to pay about 360,000.
And the composition of that?
And the trail.
And the trail?
And the trail.
And the trail will be off-road?
It will be in the
Next.
township right away, but off to the side of the
To the
road.
side of the road. And the trail will be a sturdy trail
Yes,
at township specification?
yes. It will,
Thank you.
yes, it will.
To just say yes, Michael, don't put in the laughing minutes. Okay. Thank you.
On February 7th, our engineers will be at our public meeting to provide a simulation of what a roundabout would look like at 5 Points. So Michael is going to send out notices to all the neighbors in the 5 Points area, but he'll also send out something with the agenda. But we've been meeting with PennDOT for many months now to decide what we can do with that intersection, because PennDOT owns 2 of the roads that intersect there, so they have the major input on what we do there, and the only thing that PennDOT feels will work is a roundabout. We would have to apply for grant funding for the roundabout, and PennDOT controls those grants, so I think there's a good idea that we would get the grants. PennDOT wants a roundabout in there as well, so.
That's February, Lisa?
February 7th, we're going to give the presentation so that the residents can give input and see what it would look like up there with the roundabout. We already had Supervisor Stevens, Roger, and myself already met with the residents that would be affected as far as property we'd have to take. We already met with them several times so that they would understand what would occur. Now the supervisors need to present it to the public and decide if they're going to move forward with pursuing grants and moving forward with the project.
And this will be our next Board of Supervisors meeting we're talking about.
Yes.
But you'll send a notice out.
Yes. Mhm. But it's very interesting.
It's
I was
very nice
impressed with
simulation, yeah.
the simulation. It was pretty neat.
How long would it take, assuming it's approved, to actually get it done?
About 3 years.
Wow.
Well, because we would have to wait about 9 months to hear if we get the grants, and then if we get the grants, then we have to go through the grant approval process and wait for the commitment letters, and then we have to go through acquisitions, and it would take about 3 years.
How long would the construction phase be?
About 9 months.
So,
Probably some serious detours.
Yes.
and would the intersection be closed during those 9 months?
No, they said they would be able to close off half and half. Half while the first part of the roundabout's being constructed, and then open that half, and then close the other half. So it will cause inconveniences for everyone. Traffic will be backed up, it will be a problem. But
it's-
after 9 months, it will be great.
And the estimated increase in traffic flow through an intersection with a roundabout will be how much faster?
Well, if you watch the simulation, it never stops.
Right. And
So
It's very good, and it's a double,
I don't know
it's a
the
double
increase,
stack
but-
simulation, so you're seeing a red light activation,
mhm.
and then you're seeing the roundabout activation at the same time, so you're
Yeah.
watching the traffic back up at the red, it's a good,
All right.
Yeah, so you can see 5 points and all the backup on all the legs
Right
there.
now, that happened now.
that happen now, and then you can see the roundabout and how the traffic just flows.
And how much backup of traffic would there be?
There wasn't any backup.
Okay, so right now it's, with the high letters, whatever those letters are. and
It's like a
But
day.
you
low
should-
letter.
But you compare it to the way it is now.
Yes,
And the backup going south on Keolan to 5 Points
mhm,
is off the screen. It's back past the high school. The way, this is based on
Oh, yeah.
2024 traffic expectations.
And it's
backed
back-
up, and there's no backup in the roundabout. It's all just kind of,
right,
Mhm.
just spinning along.
yeah. and-
Yes, sir.
Are you talking about like a computerized animated
Mhm.
simulation
It
that
is.
would mirror the actual conditions?
Yes.
With trucks and
Mhm.
cars.
Yeah, it's
and
really
city
neat.
Motorcycles, but
I'm dying to see
big
it.
trucks that are
Yeah.
going around the roundabout.
Mushroom
pretty-
trucks?
Oh, big, huge tractor trailers, school buses, yeah. Mhm. But the roundabout that
Fire.
would be installed there would be an oval, not a circle.
Sir,
And the oval would, the reason for an oval is to help with all the tractor trailers and the buses. So,
They had pictures, they had YouTube videos of other roundabouts. The two they showed were both from New Jersey, roundabouts as opposed to circles or other similar devices, and they made a distinction amongst them. But we were looking at apples and apples roundabouts, and it was fascinating. It was almost hypnotic to me watching. The cars, they just kept coming in, and they all just kept on going through. All
They barely
these
stopped.
vehicles, and they just keep on coming in, going around. Tractor trailers, school buses, whatever. They all just kept flowing. They didn't go through fast, but they kept on going. There was no stop and then stop. It was no backup. It was the most amazing thing.
it was.
thank you.
Well, and considering that my child was on a school bus that got hit at 5 Points by somebody plowing into the back of the school bus a couple of years ago, I feel like I have a stake in this. So,
Any other questions about that particular subject? Mr. On.
The Board of Supervisors and Kennett Borough Council will be meeting January 29th to have set priorities for the economic development study that we created last year with our new economic development director. And the Indoor Ag Committee held a meeting with the local mushroom growers to explain to them our indoor ag program and talk to them about our feasibility study. And they were all very interested and on board with what we were doing. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the township manager on her report? We've kept interrupting her the whole time, so
That's
surprised
okay.
she's not. Public Works Director, Roger.
Thank you. Most of you all know that the rest of this month has just been snow. But we have done some other little things. We installed the Napa Auto Parts sign that was taken down for the sidewalk program for the project. We reinstalled that. That was, the crew did a great job on that, means we're not really sign people. We ended up doing a pretty good job on that, so pat the crew on the back for that one. But the many storms of snow and ice and cold temperatures has made for a lot of hours overtime and work. Along with the cold temps, we had the high winds, the blowing snow, drifting. It was pretty much just working around the clock, keeping the roads open. For a little tiny snow, it was amazing how much was blown around. The cold temperatures is what's really hurting us with the melting and the refreeze, flash freezing. So material-wise, we've used a lot of material this year. As everybody can tell, we've been added a little more anti-skid in to help with the ice. So we're hoping to get that off the road with a nice plowable snow here, hopefully. If not, it'll be swept up in the spring. We run 6 trucks when we're plowing and salting. It runs about, each truck carries about 10 tons. We run about 70 tons of material we put down every time we do a round of salting. So it adds up pretty quick. I've already ordered 600 tons of salt this year that we keep the barn full at all times, but I think last year we used about 800 tons total for the year. So we are way up on our salt usage this year. Repairs are being done along with maintenance on trucks between the storms. Salt's all ordered and restocked. It usually takes about 2 or 3 days delivery. Repair work on a pump up in the Victoria Gardens pump station. We had a pump failure up there, so we had to pull it. It was a worn impeller, so we had to order a new pump for that. The Barkingfield Park, it's amazing, even in the blizzard. It is heavily used. We do keep the driveway plowed best we can, salted. We did have to add some more rocks around our edge of our parking. We have a few residents that smaller vehicles that I guess they figured if they have a smaller vehicle and it fits between the rocks that they should be allowed to drive through it. So they drive up to the fence. So we had to narrow up the rocks a little bit. So hopefully that we get that under control. But our co-op is gathering totals for our 2018 material bid. This coming Thursday, we will be going out, putting our numbers together and going out to bid as the co-op normally does. I wanted to bring up about snow plowing while we're talking about is we're having some trouble with trash cans. It seems like every day it snows is trash day.
Amen.
I know it's an inconvenience, but when everybody puts their trash can in the roadway now, instead of setting along the edge of the grass or at the edge of their driveway. So when the trash cans are on both sides of the road, a lot of times we can't even get our snowplow down the road because the cans are out so far. So we're asking residents if they can take the time to maybe set their can at the edge of the grass instead of in the roadway. Also, I don't know if it's a mailman thing or residents, but the new thing is to leave your mailbox door open.
Yeah.
Because it keeps the snowplow away from your driveway. So it adds another 8 inches on, which makes us stick out about another foot, so we can't get the road clear without knocking the mailbox door off. But I just brought that up because I was complaining about the trash cans, so. If you can close your mailbox, close your mailbox.
Roger, should we send out an email with just those friendly, helpful reminders just to let everybody know?
Yeah, well, probably, I should have put it in the newsletter when it went out, but it wasn't an issue then. But
Well, given the snow, maybe.
We can go to the website, we could put in
Yeah.
a please note kind of thing that,
Yeah, I mean, I just think that if we communicate it better, the chances that people will get the message and cooperate is good. And, you know, it's one of the reasons why we've got things like email and social media and everything else. And if we just do, hey, heads up, the chances of getting at least some complaints are better than they currently are now, because there are so many residents in the room getting the message.
But everybody here closed their mailbox.
Hopefully they're all watching it.
We've been working on a pad site down at the garage. We have bought a storage unit container that we are going to use for storing items that are stored everywhere else now. Your storage is a high commodity around here, so it'll be used by a little bit of everybody, but it'll free up a lot of areas at the shop. 2 trees have been taken down this week on Bayard Road that abut the Barkingfield Park. They were leaning out in traffic. Tractor trailers were having pretty close calls with catching them if they were riding the edge of the road, so we didn't take them all the way down. We left about an 8-foot stump stick up so that it would keep the hedgerow the way it is, but we did take 2 trees down Monday, or Tuesday it was. And the entrance of Hillendale and Macomb Lane, just talked to the HOA at Greenwood Hills. We're going to be working with them, removing some trees. We've been all winter trying to get to it, but between the snowstorms and all that, but we're going to start taking down what trees we have. The co-op has a bucket truck now. Westbrook Borough purchased a used bucket truck, so we're using it temporarily. If you see an old yellow bucket truck, it's the co-op's. So we'll take down as much as we can by ourselves, and then we'll have to have a crane come in and take the one big tree down for us. But that'll really free up the sight distance at that intersection this spring. And that concludes my report.
any questions or comments for the Public Works Director?
I just always keep hearing comments how when people get to Kennett Township, the roads always seem to be in good shape, no matter the weather.
I would say the guys have done a really good job this year.
I can't say I get tired of hearing about that.
Well,
That's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
well, thank you. I'll pass that word along to everybody.
Yep.
Bubba, you want to speak to us?
Yeah, you want me up front or
Sure.
am I good right here?
If you speak slowly and enunciate loudly, you
I can talk loud.
Go ahead.
All right, okay. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
The total calls last month for fire was 35. The total calls for the year in the fire side was 355 calls. Ambulance calls for the total of the year was 1,096 calls. We had 40 calls in the fire, 35 in Kennett Township, and 28 in others. 43 BLS, 33 ALS, and 27 refusals. We have, the Kennett Fire Company, with the approval of the commission, we have ordered a new fire truck. It was approved through the commission, and we placed the order. We're looking at October 1st for delivery.
Is that to replace the
Engine,
the old?
the old engine. It was, we got approved from the commission, which you sit on, so.
I'm not questioning that, I just wanted to know.
It was replacing one of the engines, and we do have somebody looking at one of our engines to purchase right now.
Oh.
So, we might be down an engine for a couple months, but if they offer us what we want, we're just gonna let it go, so that when the new engine comes in, we'll be there. This is the 17th of January, and the Kennett Fire, we were extremely busy this month. We're already pushing 57 calls for the month. we've had 7, 8 calls today, but it's extremely busy for us. We're usually never busy in this month in December, in January.
Is this for fires? Is this for EMS?
Fires, that's just fires.
Wow.
Is there a cause of those fires?
Is it like space heaters or anything? Or?
No, not automatic alarms. I mean, we're running accidents. It's a lot of different things, but we're extremely busy with just the 17th of January, just so you all know that we're kind of busy for the month already.
Yeah, there was that big accident with the propane truck on 52.
That was Longwoods.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. We're both busy. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jump in real quick. I just want to
Oh,
say something. Your staff did a really good job. There was a fairly serious accident at McFarland East Palmer Pike last week, and Kennett Fire staff did a real good job. Actually had to extradite somebody from the vehicle. So make sure you take it back to your staff. You did a good
thank
job.
you. And I discussed this with the chief, but I think the supervisors need to know. I was on a call, running a call, and one of your police officers handled his job very, very professionally. And I told that to the chief, and I just think he did an excellent job with the situation that he was in. I don't want to go into it, but I just would like you all to know that the police, I don't know the gentleman's name.
It was Officer Kramer, and it was actually a very complicated situation. Involved a vehicle accident, involved an arrest that went with the accident.
He was very professional. I don't work with him a lot. I just see him, a couple times, but I just want to tell you that he was very professional as a police officer and representing Kennett Township.
Good, thanks for sharing that with us.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you, Chief, for training them so well.
It's our commitment, so we're going to continue that task.
This is just a side question, which is, I know we did some changes on the signal there at McFarland and Baltimore Pike. Is that still, intersection still causing problems, or is this just sort of, flip of the coin kind of accident, or?
That accident, the causation was 100% driver error.
Okay.
And there's, we definitely did make some changes, and it definitely has cut back in some of the crashes, but this particular one it's 100% driver error.
We're not there like we used to be at all. I mean, I think that's the first call we've been there in
It's been a little
2
while.
months, 3 months. We have not been at that intersection for a long time.
It's generally getting better.
Oh, it's definitely better. I mean,
It's just bad because the accidents that seem to occur there seem to be particularly not good.
true. But I mean,
Well, that could be true anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I think we've done the upgrade changes that we needed to do. The turn signals are in place, the turn lanes are in place.
People are used to it now.
Um,
So there's a little bit of complaints at first, but
I know you had to put up guardrails for, I think, the signal box or something. So.
that's where insurance go, we want.
yeah, so, but
All right.
there's definitely been a change for the better, so that's where we're headed.
Thank you.
It's the intent.
Yeah, I just remember there have been a couple bad accidents there. So.
Bubba, sometimes you like to sneak away before the meeting ends. Would you stick around? I'd like to talk with you after the meeting for 5 minutes.
yes, sir.
Thank you. That gets us through announcements and reports. We have no old business pending, so that brings us to new business. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
I move we pay the bills.
I second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I love paying the bills.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think, Sean Duffy, are you next?
My associate is, yes.
Hi, my name is Erin, and I am one of the overall chairs of the Mini-Thon Committee at Kennett High School. The Mini-Thon is a fundraising effort inspired by Penn State's Thon, which annually raises money for the Four Diamonds Fund an organization that provides medical and financial support for children battling cancer. Every year, our efforts culminate in an overnight dance marathon. Last year, students at our Minithon danced for 10 hours and we raised over $45,000. The Minithon is committed to promoting citizenship and service, and this year we are trying to include more of our community in our mission with a basketball game played by the Harlem Wizards and Kennett Consolidated School District faculty. We'd like to invite you all to attend the game on February 10th at 6 p.m. in the high school gym. Tickets are available for purchase at harlemwizards.com. Please contact Lisa Texera or Sean Duffy at the Kennett High School if interested. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is your deadline? When do you want us to write out checks for you?
Well, the Minithon happens February 23rd.
So before that?
That would be nice.
Could we, would you be able to email us a copy of that so we can share it?
I guess there'd be information about how to sponsor the
Yeah.
Minithon, you mean? Also, how to be a sponsor
Yeah.
or something? Okay,
We could share that information.
all right.
Particularly if we already have to send out an email about the snow removal, might as well hit them up and see.
Right.
Who do we send it to? Inc? Which email?
You could send it to Michael
Yeah, I can
O'Brien.
write it down.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, Rich left wanted us, if we could bring up something to discuss under new business before we
Sure.
move on.
Yep, is that possible?
Well, sure,
Do I have your permission? No, it's possible.
of course.
I'll try to keep it brief, but, I mean, just to let the other supervisors know, and it was an invitation probably a few months ago, and this has to do with a vision for 100% clean renewable energy future. And I think I attended a meeting I think it was actually at the Kennett Firehouse. And the goal is to have a ability to be carbon neutral and get our clean energy by 2050, 2050, 100% within Kennett Township. There are a lot of steps that have to happen between now and then, and there's a consortium of municipalities within Chester County that are trying to, that are organizing to do so. And one of the ways to do it is they can help with different grant applications and sort of larger buying purchase power, much like, you know, when Roger goes out and he has to figure out road resurfacing, and you buy with several other municipalities, you can get a better price. And so these municipalities are bonding together to potentially buy 100% renewable energy for municipalities. In addition, they might be able to have, much as the borough has done with regards to changing their street lighting to more energy efficient ones, they may help with evaluation of that and to determine what's cost neutral, but ends up being beneficial in terms of the CO2 emissions and energy usage. So there's another meeting, actually turns out tomorrow, that I'm not going to be able to attend, but it's one that I'd like to be able to have some idea of what other supervisors think about us potentially joining this consortium. They're looking for a certain level of appropriate financial commitment over 3 years to be able to get this group together. And also, before we did that, we'd have to figure out, well, how much might we either be able to save, or at the end be cost neutral for Kennett Township, yet be able to move to lower our carbon footprint.
All right, so this is, are you asking us to do something?
Not tonight, this is informational.
Okay.
Okay, but I'd like to bring it up so that we could have further discussions about it. So I would potentially interact, or Lisa would interact, I can't go there tomorrow night in person, but find out, you know, what an appropriate commitment from Kennett Township might be, what our potential savings might be, should we do, for instance, buying our electric power sort of in a group with them, might be. And then come back with more information to you all. The question might be, are there certain parameters that might make you more or less inclined to support this initiative?
I think I'm inclined to support the initiative. I think the devil's always in the details.
Yeah.
About, what does it cost, what is it, to move forward. I mean, I'm intrigued by those little smart flowers and stuff, and, if we could get one and it would power the whole township building, that would be cool.
Right, and if we get a 20% lower price, because 20 other townships are buying it as one as a
Yeah,
pool,
absolutely.
then that's the advantage there. Mhm.
Absolutely. Or if, all of a sudden Tesla solar tiles for the roof of this building or other buildings are more effective. I mean, there's lots of different things that are coming up to make things more cost effective, but certainly if we could do sort of like a co-op thing, it sounds really interesting, and I think moving towards
Right, and they could
carbon
do,
neutral is really important.
they can do that evaluation of what the cost effectiveness is, how best to do it is buying. I think the largest thing that they've done in the past has been in terms of municipal lighting. I said that's not as large of an issue for us, because these are often boroughs.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, Kennett Township has some areas with lighting. We do have a certain carbon footprint, and so we should look at it to see if we can get to a carbon neutral or as low carbon usage as we can.
Well, I'll even make recommendations for new developments using more LEDs and things like that that are more carbon neutral,
Yeah.
Through the PC or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there may be some other aspects, so.
Rich, recognizing that our federal government doesn't even recognize global warming, and is backing off from all of its national and international obligations and commitments on the subject, I certainly think it makes sense to follow the example of California and other states and cities in standing firm on doing what we can to attack the problem, even if it's not as significant as if the nation were doing it. So with that preamble, I laud your efforts to pursue this, and look forward to you bringing back more information as to how the township can share in the responsibility of confronting this humanitarian crisis we are in the middle of.
And this isn't the immediate crisis, but it's one that certainly we're all contributing to, and the ways that we can try to mitigate and minimize that are going to be important. The cost of solar panels, the cost of batteries, everything are starting to go down to make the technology more cost effective. And with larger buying group power, I think there's ways that we'll be able to benefit the township, maybe not today or tomorrow, but certainly in years to come. And so I think if we look into this, we'll be able to learn a lot and be able to contribute more to the solution.
Michael?
I mean, there was at the meeting that you didn't attend, they did a power usage of the whole area. And if you look just by area, Philadelphia lights up because there's so many people in Philadelphia. If you look at carbon dioxide production by resident, though, Kennett Township lights up. So we use a lot of carbon dioxide per resident. And that's not unusual because A, we have businesses, and B, we're much more spread out than a city is. So cities are clearly the most energy efficient places to live. So I think we have on a sort of per person basis an obligation to look at it also.
Excuse me.
Did you have a question for Michael?
I was going to say maybe Michael should put it on our next agenda, and then we'll get some more information by then.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, and Lisa sent me our township uses, so thanks. Thank you.
February 7th agenda?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, I think they're looking for something May not have to be February 7th, but maybe, sometime in the March, April timeframe might be okay for resolution, but we can talk about it again then, and I'll see if I have a resolution by then. I have a draft one, but I may not have the specifics with the finances asked.
This would go under old business for the next meeting.
I guess so.
It'd be exciting. We haven't had an old business agenda item in a while. Good. Okay. Any other new business? Any other comments? All right, so now we're down to subdivisions. We have one for Sinclair Springs and one for Stonehouse Escrow, and I have a question for our township manager. I know that we cannot withhold funding for escrow releases, but I'm wondering, I mean, there's limitations of what you can do with the money, which you basically give it back, but I'm wondering whether there is an offset for ordinance violations that have outstanding penalties that need to be addressed. Do you understand that question?
I don't know what penalties, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, let's hypothetically, shall we say, if a developer goes to work an hour early on a Saturday or goes to work on a Sunday and is too loud, and we serve them with a citation for violating our ordinances, and we get a judgment against them, can we offset these escrows against those outstanding bills?
No, not at all. These escrows, if you look at the back, the data in the back, there are specific line items that make up the total amount in the escrow. And we cannot add in anything, we can't remove anything. We can only release money if there's a line item for it.
Okay.
So,
I remember in the past, there was a motion to table release of escrow and delay the release of the escrow to send perhaps a message to the people looking for release of escrow that perhaps compliance with issues like redoing a basin and dragging their feet would be an appropriate message to send. Is that still a way to get our point across?
yes, but as I explained when that happened, you're not allowed,
We have to release
you're
it
not
at some point,
supposed to do that.
That line item was for the base.
Sure.
Right, right. But, well, what she's referring to, at that time, we had 2 escrow releases. And we talked about withholding the other one as well, but we couldn't do that. If our engineer certifies that certain items are completed on a development, we have to release the escrow within 30 days after his approval. Or, they'll just keep calling me, I guess.
Now, are we punished in some
No,
fashion?
we're not. We're not.
And what happens if our engineer never gets out there and gives us a certification?
I would
I'm
just,
assuming they say it's time to check it, and our engineer puts his hat on and toddles over. What happens if he gets a flat tire and doesn't go for a month?
then I get a phone call every day for a month asking why our engineer didn't go out there.
At which point then Lisa puts her phone number on.
And I call the,
unlisted
yeah.
status.
We can get the phone call from the residents because of what they're doing.
Right, but the mechanism to resolve that issue is that our police have been informed that any other violations, they are to issue citations.
Right.
Correct, Al?
Yes.
So that's our mechanism with them. We cannot use the escrow releases to,
Make a point.
yes. We cannot use our escrow releases other than,
Properly. We cannot properly do that.
yes. Yes.
But we do know that our police force will be efficient in issuing appropriate citations for improper behavior.
There's good discretion for the application of that situation, but in lieu of both these developments, they've been duly warned.
So I was going to ask that.
Yeah, so the notifications, good discretion has been applied. And the next step is penalty phase.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, each violation, it can be on a day-by-day-by-day basis.
Yes.
And each violation is not necessarily the same. It increases as it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think off the top of it, it's a sliding fine from 300 to 1,000, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's a sliding, so, yes.
Good, thank you. For those that are wondering what the hell we're talking about, there are concerns that are expressed by residents for things such as operating too early during weekends, operating with too much noise, doing other things, blocking the road, all sorts of things which occur, and we tell them, and they say yes, yes, and don't do. And so there is a frustration because we want to be able to protect our citizens who are going through a traumatic and difficult time with all of this construction. And we're sympathetic for the builder who runs into the complications of building, and yet that was his choice to do. And so it needs to be done according to the rules and regulations that the township has over the years set up. And my concern is that there is some impediment to the builder if he chooses to ignore our rules. So that's what all of this is about, how to do that. Having said all that, do we have a motion to address escrow releases 4 and 5 for Sinclair Springs?
So escrow release number 4 for Sinclair Springs is in the amount of $352,428 with $964,452.40 remaining. Escrow release number 5 is in the amount of $58,855 with $905,597.40 remaining.
Is there a motion to release 4 and 5?
So moved.
Reluctant second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Since we've already discussed the issue.
Right, it's already discussed. I mean, I think the only thing to say is that, you know, it's important that the builders comply with the ordinances, and that particularly in a situation like this where it was a very long process, compliance would be in everybody's best interest.
Yep. It's been moved, it's been seconded. We've discussed it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. How about the Stonehouse escrow release numbers 2 and 3, please?
Escrow release number 2 is in the amount of $167,190 with a balance of $1,888,031.85. And escrow release 3 is in the amount of $245,670 with $1,642,361.85 remaining.
Do we have
Is
a motion?
Stonehouse a
Sweetbriar.
Sweetbriar, yeah. So moved?
second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I would request, tell me if this is possible, I'd request that the township send a synopsis of the discussion that we had with regard to particularly Sinclair Springs. That's the one I hear about. I haven't heard about Stonehouse.
The police had to shut Stonehouse down this past weekend.
I was gonna say that, I mean, it's twofold on both sides. However, Sinclair Springs has been compliant.
Well,
Responsive?
no.
No? No? What
No.
words?
Recently they are,
Recent, yeah, compliant recently,
yes.
Okay.
But the developer has challenged our ordinance,
yes.
so that's a whole nother discussion we're trying to get through.
Okay. And the other one?
So the other one was their first offense.
Okay.
So-
Well, it was their first offense, but at the pre-construction meeting, they were given the rules and regulations and
Yes,
told they were not
yes.
permitted to work on holidays.
Yes.
So they continued and worked on holidays.
Here's the problem, and I'm not defending the developers, because I'm not. The problem is, it's the developer who signs the agreement. Then they have the builder and 900 different subcontractors that come in, and they have subcontractors as well, and it's usually the trickle-down effect that someone along the line didn't get the message. That's not right or wrong, I'm not defending them, just saying that's the reality of it, so.
That doesn't work if I'm drinking and driving, does it?
It does not. It does not, so. Just a
I didn't
little,
get the memo.
just a little foundational history before you, but, you know, I think that's why it's, you know, we do take the stance of using good discretion, duly warning them, and they both have been at this point, so.
And we are, speaking for myself, but I think I can say this for the rest of the board, we value that exercise of discretion by our police force. I think that is something that has worked well for the township. So I am not opposed to that at all. But I am opposed when, from what I hear, there is an ongoingness of thumbing the nose and going forward, doing what the builders want. And if the top guy gets pinched because he doesn't explain it, the rules, or doesn't enforce the rules within his hierarchy, then he ought to get pinched. I mean, that's what they did to the guys at VW with their Dieselgate. I don't know why that's any different for here.
No, I definitely agree, and I would encourage to pass this along, if anybody's making complaints to you, that you make sure that they're letting the township know, rather than just venting to one of the supervisors, because,
Right.
you know, I don't want somebody venting to a supervisor, and then, you know, that would be an opportunity where some enforcement would have been appropriate, and we just either, we didn't know about it or something like that. So if somebody vents to you, make sure they notify the township, whether it's the police agency or, so, yeah.
So, thank you. And so what I was asking, Lisa, is it appropriate, is it possible to send out a synopsis of this discussion to both Sinclair and Stonehouse, and for the residents that are in the area, so that they know that this board is concerned about what seems to be a pattern of behavior which is disrespectful to not only the citizens, but to the board.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You do that?
That gets us through our agenda. That brings us to public comment. Does anybody have anything more to add?
Hopefully it will be a nicer letter than just a little card in red crayon going, "No more to Mr. Nice Guy."
We'll send something nice.
Not hearing anybody jumping forward to speak, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much.
When did you get back?
Friday. Still no power though.
Did you say that the consortium was county line?
Now, Rincon,
Yes,
from what I
Jesco,
understand, they have all have power.
Clean Power is sort of casting around for a name. Meeting's
Yeah.
tomorrow. Do you want me to send you the
is now?
meeting
Well, no,
info?
I mean, I just saw what you showed me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
to another meeting.
Yeah.